Hey everybody, and welcome to Nicole Sauce's Thought of the Walk. I don't know if I'm in the frame or not because, you know, selfies and all that. Today I'm actually going to take you on a different kind of walk than a walk with my dogs. This is a walk around the gardens. So we'll start with a couple things going on here. I like to share what it's really like to try to grow your own food. Here we've got a lettuce patch and some other things growing like dill, fennel. Anyway, we've got this going on, but I want to show you this. This is a little ramekin that's buried in the dirt of my aquaponics system. You see things floating in there? This is what I call getting slugs drunk. Apparently I got a snail drunk too. I've been having issues with my lettuce leaves getting little holes bitten in them by slugs, and so I got a can of beer and I buried this ramekin and I put it in there, and it's full of little slugs, which I'm going to dump on the ground. And then later today, they're drunk. They get drunk and then they pass away. I'll refill that later today because they usually are very active at night. And then the ducks will come and they'll eat the little slugs on the ground. In fact, if the ducks are smart, they would be here right away so they could have beer-filled slugs. But this bed is my aquaponics system, and I've been working on this system for about 5 years. It got put in at our first spring workshop. And what happens right now is I'm clearing out lettuce as we eat salads. You can see it's about ready to bolt. And then succession planting. So this is an eggplant. I actually bought it at the store. I didn't start this one from seed. And then we have a really sad looking basil plant here that'll look better in a bit. I've got some kale coming up. I've got a tomato right here that looks really happy. And as these clear out, the sun starts hitting these other plants and then they can grow. And then as they start getting big in the fall, I'll try to then do another layer of cabbage and stuff. This is more herbs. I've got sage over here. This one's going crazy. Lots of the brassica family. These are about done. This was a broccoli plant that never gave me broccoli, but it gave me broccoli leaves, so I was happy. But this is what the zone 1 looks like. You can see everything looks pretty healthy here. Stuff looks healthy in my pots. It's all looking good, and I've been working this for about 5 years. But here's the deal. I ended up running a coffee business, like pushing really hard on hollow roast, and I didn't have vegetables in my upper garden for the last 5 years, which means that any weed that wanted to grow could grow, right? By the way, this is the wall, the infamous wall of tomatoes. These tomatoes grow up and cover my south-facing windows, and then it shades it, and it's not as hot in the summer. It's made a noticeable difference in my AC bill. That's all going well. That's a hydroponic system instead of an aquaponic system. And it helps stave off how long it takes till the tomatoes get the blight around here. But up in the upper garden, I let it go fallow, which means weeds happened for 5 years. And what the weeds did is they sucked all the nutrient out. And so what we did is we basically smothered this space with tarps and stuff under it for the winter. And then we pulled those off and we put down cardboard in the pathways, and then we made beds. And these are my grow beds. And I can tell you that this used to be a really fertile plot, and I'm going to show you what the reality of what the first year is like. First of all, these are weeds. I have been spending about half an hour a day here pulling weeds. This is a really unhappy basil plant. You can see that. It really wants nitrogen really badly. It's not getting access to everything it needs. I actually came through here with some like mycorrhizal additives to get the soil bumped up because the soil's the most important. I put rabbit poop around the base of this plant. Here's a tomato. It's looking a little happier, right? This one, since having the rabbit poop, this one looked like that one 3 days ago. Pretty much, not quite, and then it's greened up again, so that's good. Here I'm just waiting for germination, but you can see what we're doing is battling weeds despite the fact we have had mulch down, we've got cardboard down. Like, there is cardboard under this weed and it's coming up, and I'm spending about half an hour every day. Now these are not weeds. Well, that one right there is a weed. Are you a weed? Yeah, you're a weed. This is a Jerusalem artichoke. But these are like radishes, arugula, we've got kale. What I did on this row is I just scattered random old seeds, but I've also got grass. I've been coming up here, and I swear this grass wasn't there a week ago, and look how tall it is, right? I pull it out and then I throw it over the fence to the goats. We've got some squash starting. Again, this squash looked as bad as that that basil plant, and now it's starting to green up a bit. Well, it's probably a cucumber, actually. I'm wrong. It's a cucumber, not a squash. And so what I've been doing is spending a lot of time fighting nutrient deficiencies up here and then fighting weeds. And I think by the end of the year, we'll have some production out of this, but it won't be like the best production I've ever had. This is another row. It's got some squash, another super unhappy basil plant. That's a flower. I've got a super unhappy dill plant. Same thing, I just put rabbit poop around. I've been up here with rabbit poop, you know, once a week, figuring out who needs rabbit poop, who doesn't. This is what happens to arugula when it gets really big. It's good. I'm just going to let it go to seed. This is out of here. Goodbye, you weed. I've got elderberries trying to grow in here. That's what's happening. Again, this is just a scatter of seeds, and then in between we have squash, cucumbers, those sorts of things. This is a cucumber plant as well. What didn't germinate well here were summer squashes. And then look at these peppers. These are the saddest peppers I've ever seen. In fact, I see that I didn't put rabbit poop around them. So these are going to get rabbit poop. And then this row's been great. This is potatoes. Now, I will tell you, last year, I worked on this row, and it was really crappy. And so a year later, you can see the difference that this one row has in nutritional balance. And I bring this up because a lot of people think, hey, I'll just grow my food if I need to grow my food, right? I got the tomatoes going here. They're looking good. We're going to put trellising up. And when those potatoes come out, I'll succession plant something. I don't know what yet there. I always have these really sad basil plants. Once I crack that nut, we'll know what's up. But you can see just the level of growth of this row is different. And that's because this has been cultivated for a year. This is year 2 on this one. I put rabbit poop on it last year, and I got it going, and it's growing. That's year 1. It's growing some stuff, but it's not super lush. And this is despite the fact I did the lasagna approach, which we always talk about. Year 1 for me is typically not as good as year 2. And then once I get the cycle going, we do really well. Now I'll get vegetables off these other rows, and hopefully I'll get enough green beans that we can, by the way, I can grow the piss out of some horseradish. That's a horseradish plant right there. It's so big, it's like up to my hips. Anyway, I can grow the piss out of some food, right? But it's way better on year 2 and 3 if you just keep up on it. And by year 2 and 3, the weeds won't be as bad. And part of the issue here is keeping up on the weeds. And despite the fact that every day this week I have been weeding, except for yesterday, for half an hour to an hour, you see what's up in there. And that is with cardboard down, that is with mulch down. Weeds are a huge battle in Tennessee. I did not solarize it. I did the thing where you smother it, but I have found solarization doesn't work super great here either. Even if we're getting the soil heated up, there's a great seed bank in there. Unfortunately, a great seed bank means I pick a lot of perilla at this time of year. But as we get into year 2, 3, 4, that will have abated. The pioneering varieties that are trying to take over will have backed off a bit, and I'll just be fighting the bodock, which you're always fighting because it puts in those big old tap roots. And I'll be fighting some perilla because perilla's a thing here. But my goal is to have most of the grass handled this year by continuing to pull it out. The fact that you see grass in there with seed heads, though, means I screwed up because grass has seeds in the stems before you ever see them. One grass seed is all it takes for you to get another grass plant you're going to have to pull. So we'll keep up on it. I'll do updates on this, but I'm showing this because if your plan is to start growing food, if you ever need it, and you haven't started growing food, you haven't started growing plants, you haven't learned how to do a garden, that's not a good plan. It's a better plan to start growing some of your food now, and then if you ever need the skill, you'll have it, because you need to observe the plants every day. You can see that, like, I was up there 3 days ago doing sort of an observation walk, and I fertilized a bunch of stuff, and now about half that stuff, with rabbit poop, I didn't even have to get commercial feed. About half that stuff is looking better, and half of it still looks like crap, so I need to still figure out why that basil looks that way, right? And figure out, is it an iron deficiency? Is there a do I need to put some some salt out, some of the, whatever that salt's called, that you soak in the bathtub. What's it called, Tactical? Epsom salts, right, to get some magnesium back in the soil. That might not hurt. There is just, the soil microbes are not as happy as they should be up there. And I'm working on that so I can get the plants to look happier so that by next year we're all balanced. And then we'll do another big old layer of rabbit poop this fall, cover her up for the winter, use those same beds next year. I'm looking forward to that because that's going to be a lot easier to deal with than this year, but it is what it is. That's why I started this year. I hope you can learn from my mistakes and don't let your garden go fallow for 5 years. Bad idea, although I'm pretty happy I built the coffee business. We'll be back on Sunday with another thought of the walk. Make it a great week.